Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. There is a big row over EVM hacking, especially after Tesla CEO and ex-boss Elon Musk made a statement saying that EVMs can be hacked and they can be eliminated. He said that EVMs can be hacked by humans and artificial intelligence as well. But let me clarify, Elon Musk's statement was not in context with whatever is happening in India. So that is something which I need to clarify. But what has happened is that yesterday, midday, which is one of the renowned papers in Maharashtra, they had published a report, and that report said that the EVM in the Mumbai Northwest constituency seemed to be connected with a phone through an OTP number. Now, what has happened is that report became became the center focus of the entire conversation. Political parties started reacting to it, and then Election Commission held a press conference, and they said that no, EVMs cannot be hacked through phones because they are a standalone device, and they issued a legal notice to Midday. Now, today, Midday has clarified that inadvertently they had made a mistake of saying that the EVMs were connected with the OTP. But the problem doesn't end here, because Election Commission itself has admitted that in the Mumbai Northwest constituency, the winning candidate over there, Ravindra Waikar, who's Eknath Shinde's party's candidate, he's the NDA candidate. He won by a wafer-thin majority of 48 votes, and the brother-in-law of Ravindra Waikar apparently had entered into the counting center with a phone, and regarding this bit, there was a complaint filed against him. He has been booked, and now the case is under investigation. Now, everyone was expecting that since the complaint was made by the poll officer himself, the Election Commission would share the copy of the FIR, but this has not been done. But this EVM hacking issue has become a main political rallying point. Just now, just a short while back, Aditya Thackeray had held a press conference which was attended by Sanjay Jog, whom you see on the screen. Sanjay Jog is a senior journalist with us, joining from Mumbai. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. We have Supreme Court lawyer Arun Agarwal with us. He was the petitioner in the EVM VVPAT case. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal, for joining. We have Anjali Bharadwaj, who is the renowned transparency activist, with us. Thank you so much, Anjali. And I'll straight away begin with this issue with Sanjay Jog. Sanjay, you just attended Aditya Thakray's press conference. Now, where is this case heading to? Midday has issued a clarification that there was no hacking of the EVM through a phone. Now, let's put that aside. But the issue of Ravindra Waikar's brother-in-law entering the counting center with a phone, what was he doing with the phone? Who allowed him the phone? So all that raises a huge suspicion. So what has Aditya Thackeray said on this bit now?
Nilu, I've been covering this case since 4th of June. While in the midst of entire counting which was on, we learned that around 8 or 7:30 in the evening that some senior bigwig had already gone to that Nesco counting station, and where this polling drama was on. You know what everybody here in the panelists must be knowing here. Generally, as per the Supreme Court order and the Election Commission's notification, that the postal ballots needs to be counted first. In this case, now it has surfaced that earlier all the counting which started was of the EVMs. What the entire drama took place after the 19th round of the EVM was happening, and then suddenly, they said that the EVM counting has been completed. Now let's start about the postal ballot. There, the entire controversy hit. In between, Mr. Parab, who is a lawyer and also a legislator of Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, and couple of others, including Amol Kirtikar, who lost by 48 votes. You must be knowing around 5:30. All the TV channels were showing that Amol Kirtikar has won by almost more than 2,800 votes. Everybody reported that. So in that scenario, Mumbai almost had 5 Mahavikas Aghadi candidates just won by Piyush Goyal. Now, entire thing has started after the 19th round, which Aditya as well as Mr. Paras have claimed that from there, the entire controversy began. They went on asking, we have got a difference vote of about 650 that we have got a calculation. You must be knowing each candidate gets got its own agent or a representative sitting along with the candidate, and entire process happens in their supervision. So generally the returning officer asks, now I am going to declare that this say 18th round of whatever the results have come, do you okay with it? And generally it goes on. So this time round, this Shiv Sena Balasaheb, Uddhav Thackeray has taken an objection. After 19th round, everything got into a kind of haywire. They said, or they alleged, that returning officer was all the time going to the washroom and speaking to somebody. They have also charged that she has been working under tremendous pressure. Thirdly, they have also sought a kind of an inquiry about, quote unquote, her previous record, having alleged corruption charges and whatnot. But more importantly, what I feel as a journalist, as I've been tracking here, why the election commission did not make any kind of a clarification immediately about why the postal ballots were taken later. That's a major issue. Second, as you rightly say, Ravindra Waikar's accomplice or whatever associate allowed to carry the mobile itself is a major offense under the act. So, how this returning officer allowed this guy to be inside? That's an important issue. So, is there been a kind of a misuse of government machinery? That's what, the Shiv Sena UBT has asked about. And a third, very interestingly, they were demanding that, as per the Supreme Court order, the VVPAT and that entire 17C, the record needs to be stored. So, they were demanding that what happened to that record? Please store it to us. Till now, till this time, RO has declined to do that. And the fourth, much more important thing, they have been demanding the CCTV footage. What the election department has said, that they will be able to give it next 2 days, that is after 4th of June. But now today is 17th June, no kind of a record has been shown.
No,
In
just to
fact,
clarify to what you said. So has the election commission agreed to share the CCTV footage? What have they said?
No. This was a demand or a kind of a petition made to them.
Okay. Okay.
Initially, there was a response that give us 2 days. We are all busy in the compilation and all. We will give. But suddenly, about 2 days before, Shiv Sena UBT was told that such CCTV footage cannot be shared, and that's where the entire drama has again, reinvented. So, Nilu, just to again,
so Sanjay, just to interrupt you, because the viewers also need to clarify that the election commission now has said that they are unable to share the CCTV footage, and because of which this has taken a political overtone now.
Absolutely, not election commission. I said the local returning officer here, that Vandana
The returning officer.
Because you have to make a petition to them, not directly to ECI there. And they are this thing. And now, when it comes to the EVM controversy, the malfunctioning and whatnot, Miss Suryavanshi yesterday had to hold a press conference. Look at after 4th of June, when the entire controversy was happening, she was silent. Only initial response was that whatever has been done as per the norms and the stipulated rules. Now suddenly, after Elon Musk and all the opposition parties have swung into action and castigated about this entire thing, now that Miss Suryavanshi had to hold a press conference and saying that it's a kind of a standalone this thing. You can't have OTP getting in and connected to EVM on. That's fine, but the major issue remains is that why election commission was silent for so many days. Secondly, what happened to the postal ballot which were taken later? What happened to the EVM counting, which suddenly, as Mr. Aditya, as well as Anil Parav and Amol Kirtikal himself, the candidate, has read on that same day, after 19th of round, what has gone wrong? These questions remains unanswered. So I think, Nilu, these are the major points which were discussed today and being taken forward. And the last one, today now they have announced that this battle is definitely going to be taken to the court. At the same time, they want the election commission should act and, suo moto, start inquiry into entire this controversy.
Right. All right. Now let me come to Anjali. Anjali, you've been raising this issue, and in fact, you and also Arunji have been raising this issue about how there is a possibility that the elections could have been manipulated given the time. Like we've been discussing this for quite some time, that the form 17C was not shared. Then there is a huge difference in the votes polled and the votes counted. And now with a case like this coming up from the Mumbai Northwest constituency, now where is this entire case now for which, and the cause for which you've been fighting, where is this heading to? And now that Aditya Thackeray has clearly made a mention that he will go to the court, And so, which means that this particular constituency's case surely is going to the court. But how do you see this entire battle now? Because Quint recently had done a story as well. It was an investigative story where they said that out of 542 Lok Sabha constituencies, 538 constituencies were such where there were huge discrepancies in the votes polled and the votes counted. Now, if Mumbai Northwest is a case in example, it's a living case. What about the other constituencies? How will those things come out?
Look, Neelu, I have said this repeatedly that, and in our discussions, I have brought this up in the past as well, that what is central in a democracy for people to have trust in elections, in the electoral process, is transparency. Now, we know that, of course, it is possible for anything to be manipulated, but we are not even saying that. We are not saying anything has been manipulated. What we are saying is that for citizens, for voters to have trust in the electoral results, they have to have trust in the electoral process. The process has many, many parts to it. One, of course, is what you talked about, that how many people went out to vote. And then finally, when there is a counting of the number of votes, then does it match? These are the kind of things that people should have absolute information clearly with them, so that there is no doubt in their mind that there is anything amiss. Which is why we repeatedly said that Form 17C, which is the only statutory record, authenticated record of how many people turned out to vote at a polling station, should be made public. Unfortunately, we have seen that the results are also now out, but there has been no attempt made to make these public. Yes, we know that where there are polling agents of the candidates, they are given those Form 17C, but this is right to information of citizens, transparency for citizens. It hasn't been done. Here, I want to also bring to your notice that many of us went to our own respective returning officers. In Delhi, out of 7 constituencies, people went to at least 4 or 5 returning officers, and till date, no 17C forms have been shared. We even said that even if you're not giving a copy, allow us inspection under Section 93, under Rule 93 of the Conduct of Election Rules. Even that has not been allowed so far. Now, this raises questions when the number of votes counted don't match with the number of votes polled that the Election Commission of India gave out the figure for. Now, the Election Commission has not even explained why this discrepancy arose. I see no reason why the commission should not give a polling station wise level of reason for discrepancy. I mean, after all, elections are being conducted which are going to decide the fate of the country, of our democracy for the next 5 years. What can be more important than to infuse transparency when there is a discrepancy? So that again has not been done. Now, specifically on this issue, I heard with a lot of attention what was, Mr. Jog just explained to us. I think that this is very, very concerning again, which to my mind can also only be addressed through greater transparency. When we are saying that the Supreme Court clearly said that the ballot papers should be counted first and then EVM should be counted. If that was not done, that is a clear violation, contempt of the Supreme Court. So I think what the Election Commission should do is to ask the CEO and the returning officer to immediately put out in the public domain the video footage. They should not wait for people to ask. They should not be seeking time. This is something they should be doing proactively. That look, there are questions that have arisen. And if there is a problem that happened, there is a violation that happened, action has to be taken. There is no question about it. And then this whole issue now, the press note that has been issued, even which has been made public, says that in this incident at 27 Mumbai Northwest constituency, This is about unauthorizedly using the mobile phone of an authorized person by a candidate's aid. Now, this is a very serious
Yeah.
thing that is being admitted. They are saying that a criminal case has been filed, let it take its own course. But how do you basically now build trust of people in that constituency that the election was free, fair, and the results are the correct results? The videography again is critical. What was happening? What was the role of the RO? What was happening in those 19 rounds of counting that took place? All of this is, if it is there captured in a video, why can't it be put out? The CCTV footage is available. And again, here, let me say, I'll finish by saying that, Neelu, that there is a very clear provision that any citizen can ask, they can pay 300 rupees and ask for a copy of the video footage. Now, if that is something that is allowed, means there is no ban on putting this in the public. So I think that there has to be, by the Election Commission of India, this step immediately taken that look, there was nothing malified, nothing wrong happened. Here is the footage. Yes, they're coming out and doing press conferences and saying OTP and this, that, and the other. I think the issue here is that it has to be fairly and squarely addressed, each and every aspect of the wrongdoing that is being alleged. If there is nothing wrong, everyone will see it. And if there is something wrong, then action must be immediately taken. Why should we play with the trust of 1.5 billion people in the electoral exercise that has just been finished?
Right. Now I'll come to Arun Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, now is it not very, very evident that Election Commission is trying to hide something? Even yesterday, when there was a press conference by that lady, she said that she sent a legal notice to midday. That has been done, but she had no explanation as to why Ravindra Waikar's brother-in-law, why and how he entered the counting center. Now, what if all this has been happening in other centers also? Now, this, because there was a hue and cry, people came to know about it, so it's become, this case is publicized. But what if similar things have happened in other counting centers but nobody knows of it?
No, first thing first, if my memory serves me right, and since you have also been following this, I think Dr. Singhvi went with a specific complaint saying that the ballot votes have to be counted first before
Yes.
you start counting the rest of it. I mean, and the next day, the chief election commissioner said, done, 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 as if he was doing a big favor. Now, if my memory is correct, and if this is the sequence of event that happened, then if they forgot to count the ballot vote in the beginning and started counting the EVM, then it was the duty of the losing candidate and now the winning candidate to point out that why have you not counted the ballot paper votes first? And if you have not counted, then you can't count it in the end. And in fact, the way the newspapers have reported, that after the recount, there were further some postal ballots which were left. So after the counting is over, how can you go back and count the postal ballots which have not been counted earlier? So this is a clear-cut breach of the uh, directive of the Election Commission itself, in which condition the election should have been declared in favor of the losing candidate, and the and the present winning candidate should have gone to court that this had not been counted, it had to be counted. I mean, let us presume that he did win on the ballot votes. This particular thing, the Chief Election Commission in a press conference is saying that done. I mean, this is a word I was being very conciliatory and expansive, that yes, ballot papers will be counted will be counted and finished. Not that they will finish before the last round of voting is done. So it will be finished before the commencement of the counting of the EVM machine. If that is not done, then the election rules have been flouted, guidelines have been flouted. So that in itself, I mean, it is they have not taken this point, they should raise it. This is the first thing that I would like to say. Apart from that, if an unauthorized person who is close to the candidate gets through the ring, then it is not smuggled. He has been allowed to take it inside and then to exert influence through that phone with the higher ups to the returning officer. And while doing so, he has been caught by other two independent candidates who were very alert. So when this happened, this has been reported, and they had no other option. It is not that they were being very gratuitous in filing a complaint. They had no other option but to file the complaint. It is a matter of this thing that it was a little misreported that an OTP had come or whatever. But all these are this thing which are violations of this thing, and there is connivance. I mean, I can understand by mistake you carry a phone in your pocket and you this thing, but this man is coming in the middle of the or at the fag end of the counting, so he has no business to come. He is coming fully loaded with a phone which is like a communication between the higher ups and this thing. So all these things are going against the election commission. And of course, it is too much to expect the present election commission to be transparent in any way. Non-transparency and lack of action and partisanship has marred this election, and this election will be long remembered for the manner in which this has been conducted. So as far as I am concerned, the rules were not followed, existing rules were not followed, and the ballot, they had no business to count the ballot paper in the end until the election. And for that, the RO himself is liable. In fact, an FIR should be launched against the RO for having rigged the election because she is not following the rules.
Right. But let me come to you, Sanjay Jog, now that now, given the fact that there was a stiff competition in Maharashtra, stiff, and there was like a neck-to-neck battle almost. And now, with the kind of results which we have seen, there are seats with slender, margins of victory. So, what do you think? I mean, this is but one particular case of Mumbai Northwest. But do you think that now the political parties will approach the court or maybe the election commission so that they can get the counting verified again? Will they ask for a recount? Will they ask for a re-election? Have you heard anything on that line as well?
Nilu, I think before we enter into that domain, earlier, I should have tell you for the reviewers, in Thule also, where Shobha Bachcha was the Congress candidate, who was contesting against the sitting MP and the former defense minister, Mr. Dr. Bhamre, there also again, same kind of thing had happened after the Congress raised an objection with regard to the counting of votes, both postal ballot as well as EVM. So Congress had allayed. There also, they wanted to, literally take away this result in the favor of BJP. But because of the alertness shown by the Congress, their candidate, and also by the polling agents, it was not at all possible. Second thing happened in Beed district also, where, Pankaja Munde, who is a former Maharashtra minister, daughter of and very veteran OBC leader Gopinath Munde, the counting went on till late night. About maybe post 8, 9 o'clock, there was a huge tamasha. There was allegedly kind of a scuffle which took place between two warring groups. And ultimately, the same NCP SP led by Mr. Sharad Pawar nominee took a very strong objection. The manner in which the polling officer was conducting the counting, ultimately he was declared, victorious by more than 700 votes. So these are the two representative cases which already happened, but because of the alertness shown by the candidates, the polling, agents and the party, which was, foiled. So as you rightly said, as Aditya also made a mention about that, as an India bloc, they will certainly discuss it internally very soon, as they will file the case in next 2 days. And if such instances have happened, the India bloc may take it up and revisit and may approach either election commission or the court. You are rightly saying that this is definitely not going to be an end. This is just a beginning for a new kind of, war.
So this is one particular case only in Maharashtra. You've yourself listed out three constituencies. Mumbai Northwest, of course, is the talking point. Then you've mentioned about
Dhule.
Dhule, mentioned about Bheed, which is Pankaja Munde's constituency. Now I'll come to you, Anjali. That where is this all taking you on, as far as the larger battle is concerned? Your demands, your concerns, which you have been emphasizing right from the beginning. Now, where do you see this all getting? Because now, once the vacation is over, you'll have a regular bench hearing this matter. And do you see, things adding up from here on? And can we expect something more on this, something more drastic? I mean.
So, Lilu, let me first say here for your viewers that when it is admitted, let me put it that way, because this is very much part of what has been said by the RO, that an authorized person's phone was in the possession of and was being used in an unauthorized manner. I think it raises very, very serious questions because, see, the authorized phone is actually being used for many purposes. Even when voter turnout is being declared, when Encore is being filled out, the voter app, all of that would be done through the authorized phone. Now, potentially, there are many things that would be getting impacted if the phone is in the wrong hands. Now, in a context like that, I think it raises very many questions, not just limited to saying that we have filed a criminal complaint against this person. I mean, that might at best result in some action against the person who was in possession of that authorized phone. But what about the election result? So that, I mean, it would have impacted the electoral result at many levels. So I think that apart from political parties taking this matter up, because we've heard that there are various political parties leaders who are now making statements and so on. They are definitely in this because it impacts their results directly. Perhaps they will approach the courts and we hope that the issue will be listened to and heard with alacrity, and there will be justice. But I think the larger demand for transparency still stands. And all of this just underlines the need for greater transparency. Because, like you said, how long are people going to have trust if these kind of things keep coming up? Every time something like this comes up, it dents public trust. And if we need to keep being a democracy where elections are to be meaningful, after all, these are general elections. We are going to go into state elections very soon in so many places. I mean, how do we expect people to have trust unless they are even seeing things as being done fairly? So it's very important that the entire process be transparent. And I think one of the things that I understand the RO has said, the person who was the RO at that time, is that before putting out the videography, they're going to wait for the court's orders. I mean, there is absolutely no rationale for that. I mean, you have your own conduct of election rules. You have your own handbooks where it's very clear that videography, if it is sought by somebody, has to be provided at the cost of 300 rupees. There is nothing secret about this. This is not something that is forbidden from being shared. How can all of this be done? I think it's very important that that in every aspect, the election commission now, I mean, at that point in time when all these issues were being heard, it was a very critical time. But the election commission said, we have our hands full. This is not the right time for people to come to the courts and so on. But I think that now, at least if the election commission wants to maintain its credibility, if it wants to maintain the trust of the people, it must come out and make sure that people can see that things were done properly, and wherever there were not, proper action is taken. And I would go so far as to say, why only this one constituency or these three constituencies? What is stopping the election commission? I mean, we understand, every citizen of this country knows how expensive the electoral process is. I mean, how much money of the taxpayers is actually spent on conducting elections, because we all understand how important free and fair elections are in a democracy. How much money, how much public funds will it take for all of this to be put out in the public domain? The Election Commission of India can just set up a website where it can put all of this information so that everybody in every constituency can see their Form 17Cs, can see what was happening at the time of counting, whether the ballot papers got counted at the right time, did was there somebody gaining unauthorized entry to these places, were they carrying a mobile which they were not supposed to? All of this should be in the public domain. What is to be hidden? There is no rationale in a democracy for any of this to be hidden.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'll come for the concluding remarks to Mr. Arun Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, now what happens? Ideally, we've spoken at length, about what the Election Commission ideally should be doing, but it seems to have closed its doors until unless it gets a rap from the court. It doesn't act, and there are various instances in the past where we have seen they act only when they are wrapped by the court. Now, how do you think that the Election Commission now will come up with these details which the people will be wanting? And the biggest question is, with the kind of mandate which we have got in 2024, where the opposition parties also have won a sizable number of votes, how many opposition parties would be really interested to go and get the things verified? And especially in those constituencies where the margin of victory has been wafer thin or slender.
Oh, that is a $1 million question. That are the opposition parties going to sit on their laurels of having wrestled so many seats from the BJP and made it a close this thing, or are they going to pursue that they would have won more seats had they been more vigilant? But I was, before coming to the program, after a long time, I was going through the margin of victory in various states. See, there is a very interesting correlation. In Tamil Nadu, Stalin very openly said, I have all the 17C. That was a complete rout for the BJP. Similarly, in West Bengal, they had a complete control on 17C. That was also a rout for BJP. In UP, of all the states, Akhilesh Yadav, before the closing of the poll, he said, yes, we have taken all the 17C. Again, they lost massively. There are other states, I don't know how far they were vigilant in Madhya Pradesh. They were vigilant in Bihar and Chhattisgarh, where they were careless and did not collect the Form 17C, which became an open season for those who wanted to replace the EVMs. They have been, Mr. Pracha has been saying that the number of the EVM is not even embossed, or the control unit and the various three components is not embossed on the case of the EV of the central unit or the ballot unit. So how do you match them? And then what are these trucks of EVMs moving around during election time? If they had to move around, they could have moved around earlier or later. How is it a coincidence that this movement is taking place in trucks of this thing? So, you see, where people are not vigilant, it's a rural area, backward, people don't care. At those places, it was much easier to rig the elections. It doesn't matter what was the margin of the vote, because when you are rigging, you can rig it by a high margin. So ultimately, see, the solution lies in counting the votes. And I don't know why even this civil society and all those people who are there, they can't do the simple maths and keep on saying that no, if it takes 6 days, let it take. It will not take 6 days. I have shown you, I have counted the votes physically in my house. I have the video recording of it. One constituency of 620 votes can be counted in 20 minutes. Similarly, there are counting machines which can count them in a jiffy. So to say that it will take, say, to buy this canard which has been spread that it will take time is wrong. We should insist that the paper ballot which have been cast should be counted. Once that is allowed, then 98% of the problems will be taken care of. And there will not be any suspicion. At the end of the day, all we want is that, yes, we lost our one fairly and squarely. So that is my this thing. Last observation I would like to make on this tweet of ex-minister Chandrasekhar. All the time he was winning as an independent from the Rajya Sabha. So you know how he was winning. It was totally financed by him, buying this thing. Last time he has become the minister, and now he is tweeting. And during his tenure, you will find that he was trying to control all these social media things. He was virtually acting like a Goebbels. And now he is saying that he is contradicting a person probably who will be said to have monetized or whatever, is an expert in both software and hardware, and he was dismissed by just 4 words very appropriately by saying anything can be hacked, and that was the end of it. I thought that was a very, very good riposte to what this minister, who has been acting like a Goebbels over here, was put in place.
But at the end of this entire discussion, it leaves a very bad taste as to how election commission is really handling what Elon
Neelu,
Musk said.
can
Yes.
I just very quickly add to what Arunji was saying? I think, I mean, one thing is very clear, that our opposition parties also need to very clearly understand that their position has to be consistent. We have to have a situation. I mean, we don't need to wait for an Elon Musk or anybody to tweet. These have been concerns that have been raised, whether it's people who are in the courts, or it is the Citizens Commission on Elections, where a lot of experts were brought in to weigh in on this issue and raise so many concerns. We don't need anybody to tell us that they can be hacked. It has been so clearly demonstrated. It's very important that political parties, all of them, including those who've been in the opposition, take very serious note of all of this. They did not, I'm saying this, unfortunately, they did not come out and give this the kind of focus and attention that it needed to be given before elections. It was just before elections that they started saying all of this. Even now, they should be very vigilant. And I agree that, with what has just been said, that this will not take very long. It will not take very many resources. 100% counting of the VVPAT slips is the very basic minimum that can be done to build public trust. But actually, we need to go into all of the kind of issues that we have seen coming up in this. That's the only way to retain public trust.
But one quick question before I wind up, Mr. Agarwal, can there not be a unified demand from all the political, I mean, from all the opposition parties, that wherever there is a slender margin of victory, at least go in for 100% verification? That isn't a very tall demand. The court also can easily grant.
Yes, because the court has, in its judgment, has not ruled out sabotage. Otherwise, it would not have said that seal it and allow it examination. Otherwise, it would have not said that if possible, count the votes by using paper counting machine. So all those possibilities also emanate from the judgment that has been given, which can be taken forward. If tomorrow I go and show the court, which I can, that here is a counting machine which can count all the votes just as they count the notes, and all that you have to count is X number of votes, which takes so much of time, and then or first write to the commission, then I am only furthering the judgment of the Supreme Court. So it is not that the judges over there have said that no, everything is hunky-dory and this is the last word. So a door has been left open. It is left for us to exploit it. But I would like to end on a trivia, which is not so much of a trivia. I mean, how many of you know that Mr. Chandrasekhar is the financier of Republic TV?
Yes.
I would like to end on
Most
that.
must know. No,
Huh?
no, but yes, you rightly pointed out. But the thing is that here Elon Musk didn't make a comment or didn't make a tweet, didn't write a tweet in context with India. But what is concerning right now, and in the entire light of things which we have discussed, that of course what Anjali pointed out, that the opposition parties need to take a consistent stand, not fly here or fly there, depending on who says what. Like Elon Musk made a statement, and suddenly all of them jumped, as if EVM hacking is the biggest issue. And then to top it all was the midday story, which whose headline was a little misleading, and which is why they had to put out an apology. But the biggest point is that if a country like Puerto Rico and that country's election commission can review its contract for the EVM companies, for the companies which were manufacturing the EVM, and they were American companies, then why can't our election commission also be transparent, become more forthright, and so that they at least project that they are on the side of the people? Is it too tall a calling? That's something which we really need to ponder. And once the vacation is over, once the courts meet, will the courts also address this issue? That's $1 million question. On that note, I'm going to thank Arun Agarwal, Anjali Bharadwaj, Mr. Sanjay Jog. Thank you so much for joining. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal.